All right. So, yeah, this is Lunch and Learn Microsoft Forms. And again, as I mentioned, we will just, I'll show you how to access that, different settings, and the methods for using that for teammate engagement. Also, for those of you that are educating, there's lots of methods that you can use in that respect. And then we'll also look at how you can collect your data and analyze that. So just to get started, what are the limits per user? Because I know this question will come up because we do have a Microsoft 365 business account. You can actually create up to 400 forms or quizzes per user, as well as up to 400 polls. Now, let's say you're part of a team or a group, then that group can also create up to 400 quizzes or polls. That does not count toward your total, but you can create up to 400 of each. You can have up to 200 questions per form or quiz, and you can collect up to 5 million responses because, you know, that would be um, super important. Now, let's go over to our web browser, and I'm going to show you how to access. So if you go to your webmail, and this does need to be from the webmail, you go to your webmail, you're going to go to your app launcher, which is these dots that are right up here in the upper left-hand corner. When you click that, if Forms is not showing right here within your apps, it may not be, then you're going to click on More Apps. Sorry, I keep having to go back and forth to admit people from the waiting room. You'll click on More Apps, and then right below Explore by Category, you should be able to find Forms there if it doesn't automatically pop up for you. But as you use it, it should be one of the ones that will auto-populate. So we'll click on Forms and just kind of ignore all of the ones that I have down here. But when you first start, if you've never made a form, then what you'll see at the top will be the Explore templates, and then you'll have New Form, New Quiz, and Quick Import. I'm not going to go into Quick Import today. What we're going to look at is just basic um, starting from scratch. And, because with the quick import, you do have to ensure that your document that you're importing is formatted a certain way. So what we're going to do is just look at how to do forms or quizzes. Now, I'm going to switch back. And, switching back to this for just a moment, because I also want to show you some other features that you can have with forms, is that you can use them online, or you can also embed them into presentations. You can share QR codes, links, but there are so many different ways that you can utilize forms. So the first one that we're going to do, and I'm just going to provide some examples, and then we will screen here. All right. So if you'll take out your phones, I'd like for you to please scan this QR code. I'll provide you a few examples of how you can use forms, and then I'll show you how to do that. So if you can scan that QR code, I'm going to go ahead and minimize that. And what you're going to do here is we're doing a word cloud. So what's your favorite summer hobby or activity? And we'll give everyone. While you're doing that, I'm going to check the waiting room. So far, beach is the winner. And for those of you that have done word clouds before, I'm sure you probably already know the bigger the word is, the more people that have responded with that. All right, so that's an example of a word cloud. So we're going to go to the next screen. Oh, we got more. We still got some more popping in. And that's still going to be active, so we can come back to that. All right, so this is an example of how you can do an RSVP, just a simple yes or no. And you can, again, scan the QR code and people can click yes or no. So you can click on that QR code like I just did, and it will make it bigger. Or if you want to make this part bigger, I can hit those arrows and I'm only going to see my responses. All right. I can click back there and it will bring my QR code back up. All right. So we've got some yeses and maybes. I'll show you the form in just a moment, but this is for a beach day. All right. Right. So we're going to go on to our next form example. And this is an example of a quiz of how you can use a quiz within. So again, you can scan the QR code, can make it bigger. And this is great for when you're presenting, whenever you're on a webinar like this, probably don't have to make it bigger, but when you're in a classroom, I have had people say that they need that QR code to be a little bit bigger. So you can scan that, and then in this example, this is some quiz questions that I've pulled from the communication and critical thinking class that we offer here for contact hours. So you can actually, respond to these questions, and then you can actually take the arrow and go through, and it will move on to each question. That help makes it interactive. Right. So now I'm going to go back to my forms page. And whenever you are, so you can see, like, if I didn't have a presentation, let's say that I just wanted to send out the RSVP for the beach day. Here is the example of that. A really cool feature that you have in Microsoft Forms. You notice how I've got the little palm tree. So it uses AI. So if you type in whatever it is that you're trying to do, when you click style here in the taskbar, it will generate some suggestions for the background. And or you can also just use colors. There are other animations that you can choose from. You can even add background music if you want to get really fancy. But this was just for my beach day RSVP. I want to know if you're going to join, and I can send that out. Now, let's say I want to send that to my teammates, maybe my unit council. I can go up here to collect responses, and I can either copy the link, or I can click right here to get a QR code that I can download and then share via email. I also want you to notice here where I have it marked that anyone can respond. This is important if you are doing this in a classroom setting. You want it to be that anyone can respond, because our default is for only people in Care Alliance. And that's great if you're sending something via email, to and you only want people to respond that are, to ensure that they are Roper St. Francis employees. But if you are, if you want your teammates to be able to use this on their phone, you do need to change that to anyone can respond. So again, to access that, you can go to collect responses and ensure that anyone can respond is checked if you want them to be able to use their phones or if you want it via email, it's going to be defaulted to that setting. Now, I'm going to exit off this one and I'm going to show you. So let's say that I have, this was my word cloud demo, and I had that in my presentation, but I can also go online and I can click present and see it pops up exactly like it was in my PowerPoint presentation. Go back to that. So that's another feature that you can do. You can also collaborate with other people and embed video and images. So anytime that, and I made this one more interactive in the background. So if I wanted to collaborate, let's say that I want to collaborate with one of my teammates, then I'm going to click these three dots right over here, then click on collaborate or duplicate. And maybe I want to add a teammate, I can just share the link. And this will default to, anyone with a 365 account can edit. Or maybe I just want people that are within, or maybe I only want it to be a specific person. So if that's the case, then I can click on specific people, and then I can type in that person's name. And now it's that simple. I'm collaborating with Angela on this form. Now, settings, you can go to your settings, and again, the three dots and then settings. And here you can also update who can fill out the form. Maybe you want responses by a certain date. So I can add a start or end date here as well. I can also, show a progress bar. There's multiple different options, but your basic, defaulted options are going to be already checked, which are accept responses and allow them to save responses. You can also customize a thank you message if you'd like. And you can also get an email notification every time that someone responds, if you would like to do that as well. Now, if I'm editing, and so this is just a basic form, all you have to do is click in the area that you'd like to edit. Everything is going to automatically save. So I just click in the area that I want to edit and I type in whatever it is that I want, that information. And then notice that underneath there is a plus sign in these options. And there's also the caret I can click for more question types. And, so I can choose choice is going to be like a multiple choice. And they can only, you can set it up for multiple answers. If you want them to be able to choose more than one answer, that's an option. You can also make it required, and this will not allow them to submit the form until they have clicked on required, or until they've answered that question if you click required. So I just type in, whatever options, question that I want. It will also auto-generate certain things depending on your question using AI. You can add another option, and that will allow them to check that and then type in their response. There's also the text option. This is how I got to the word cloud. So if you would like to do a word cloud, then all you have to do is ask your question and then leave it at that. You don't have to do anything else. So then whenever you show that, that will then turn into a word cloud. You can do ratings, date, obviously the Likert scale. This is helpful if you're asking the same question STEM and multiple responses. I haven't used the Net Promoter Score. I think that's um, another feature that you could offer. You could also have them, you can do a new section if you want it to, if you want to separate your quiz. And then when I click right here, off to the side, you can see right up at the top, it says saved. So it's automatically saved. I don't have to do anything else. It's right there. Maybe I want to see how this is going to look on a phone. I can click on preview. This is showing me what it will look like on a computer, but I can click mobile and that lets me see how it will appear on a phone. And you can even play around with that just to see what the response will look like. As you can see, I embedded a video on this one, and maybe they don't like how small that is. It does provide the link so they can click out and they can launch it directly in YouTube. And I've added some images on here, which I'll show you. Let's look at it computer-wise. This would be helpful. Like I just took the 4eyes skin assessment as an example. So I used the snipping tool. I snipped out what I wanted to show and just added the image in. If you want to ensure that uh, your staff reviews a new policy, you could snip a picture of that policy, put it right here in a form, and then ask them a question about it or check that they've reviewed. And it's just a great tool that you can use as a really quick, like here, I'm going to send everyone out this link and I know who has reviewed this new policy. So the way that I added the image was when you're in the edit mode, and again, to edit, you just click right inside the area and notice there's a little picture icon right there. So when I click the picture, it gives me the option to insert an image or to insert a video. If I click insert image, you can do a search online. You can insert something from your OneDrive, or you can upload straight from your computer. So I'll just pull a picture. I'll just pull something that I have. Now, when you first add it, notice it's not very big, but you can click the little pencil. Once I click the pencil, I can make it bigger. And that shows the image. Now, let's say I'd rather add a video. So I click my picture. I can go to insert video. And here you do need to have the URL. So you would want to have a YouTube link. And I'm just going to grabbing one from YouTube, paste. And now I've added my YouTube video. And it was one on ventricular tachycardia, I think was what it was supposed to be. So, but then, and you can see where I added this video from AACN. And again, I did it exactly the same way, but let's say maybe I want to do a different video. All right, I can trash it and add something else. So let's go back to my forms. Let's see. Yeah, I'm going to show you. Oh, another feature that you can do, and this is just an example of one that I made for the ICU escape room at St. Francis. And this one, they actually have to order the items, and you can also do that on a phone as well. You know, they can touch screen or they can tap the arrows and move up and down. So that's another interesting feature. So now let's start, just starting from scratch. Let's say that I wanted to, I've got a brand new form. This is what it's going to look like. They're all defaulted to this lovely teal color. All right. So maybe I want to do a survey of my staff. All right. So you can add an image as well from there. When you add an image to your title, it is not going to be as large as when you add it below. But you can see it still will pop up that lets people know, hey, um, what's going on with that. You can also add a description if you'd like. It's not necessary unless, if you do have specific instructions, then you would want to add them there. And then the plus sign, just like I showed you before, is going to be right beneath that. So then you can proceed to add in whatever options that you'd like. The rating is actually very helpful if you want averages, but you do have to choose number. And if I choose number for the rating, and this is as opposed to the Likert scale, but if I want to get an average rating of something, then you can also change the levels, but you want to click number. And I'll show you why in just a moment. I'll show you some of my results in the data. But so you can do that. You can also just add in multiple different types of questions for the survey. If you do a Likert, then and then you can continue to add your statements. Now, each statement does count as an individual question on your form. And maybe you want to divide it up in sections so you can do your plus sign and you can add a new section if maybe you have different instructions for each part. So this is just a basic survey option. Again, so once you have all of your questions in here, however you want it to appear, anything that you want to add, images, videos, you can do all of that. Once you're done, again, it's going to auto save. You don't have to click save anywhere. Then it's going to be time to look at, all right, what settings or style do we want for this? Do I need to collaborate with anyone? Do I need to adjust my settings so that way other people can respond outside of the system, or do I just want a specific group of people or um, to to respond? Do I need to set an end date when it's going to cut off? So you can go in there, remember those three dots, that's where you're going to get to your settings and your options. You can also set it up so that way you have a multilingual option. It will do that automatically for you if necessary. And then it's time to, and if you want to change your style, you can go there and play around. You can even do a different color um, if you'd like. So let's say maybe I just, I want to make it purple. And there are several other images you can play around with. Then I can collect my responses. So I can just go right up there whenever I'm ready to distribute my survey. I'm going to collect the responses. I always like to shorten the URL just because it does make a really long link if you don't click shorten the URL. And I always try to save my link as well as the QR code. And I download that. You can also edit and send this, like if you want to do an email, maybe you have an email group. You can do that right from this screen, and you can edit this message as well. And this auto-populate, I mean, this was not something that I put in. You know, it's going to auto-populate a message, and you can edit that however you'd like. You can also choose to send it to a specific team. If you are someone who uses Teams, you can do that as well. So lots of different options with that. Now, if you want to do a quiz, you know, you could use this for maybe competencies, or I've used quizzes for escape room feedback, or just, you know, different options. You're going to build it exactly the same way. The only difference is that whenever you put in your questions, you do need to put in which option is correct. And that allows the user to get feedback. Notice the little comment bubble. This is the difference when you do a quiz as well. So I can click on the little comment bubble and I can provide feedback. So maybe that was my correct option. I can just say that. If it was an incorrect option, you can provide feedback as to why, you know, that was incorrect. And you can continue to add multiple options. If, again, you might want, it's defaulted, everything's going to be defaulted to not required. But let's say that I make that required. Then when I go to add a new question, that one will automatically be defaulted as required. So I don't have to do that for every single question. Let's see. And then I can mix this up just like I did with the other. I can do multiple different types of questions. And all of those other settings are the same. Collecting responses. And remember, the 3 dots is how you get to your collaborate and your settings. Let's see. So for example, this is the quiz that I created for the communication critical thinking. So this is my edit mode that I'm in right now, but I want to preview this and see what it will look like for the teammate. So I can click here. I want to see how it's going to look on their phone. I can switch to mobile and see how that will look. And I get my responses. You know, I can click. Actually, it's that answer, but and once they proceed, they just click submit and they're done. Now I want to show you, I think the next thing I want to show you is feedback. But before I move on to feedback, does anyone have any questions about where to go to access forms, how to start a form, or edit a form? No questions? Okay. So what?
I was trying to get off mute. It's
Oh,
Amanda.
yeah,
I do have one quick question.
sure.
Recently did a form and we had a list of options all within one question, and we were asking people to rate each of those sections. And what we found, we kept trying to reorder them, and we would figure out, oh, we want to add this other piece in, and then we kept having to retype them over and over. Is there a way to move things within a list all under one question?
Yes, yes, you can. So were were you using the Likert option or were you using the ranking option?
It was the Likert option, I believe. I'll pull it up really quick just to double check
So
that.
I will tell you on with the Likert option, and I'm going to show you some responses so you can see the difference. So I I recently I did a PCT escape room at Mount Pleasant, and I had a survey following that, and then I did an escape room for ICU at Roper, and had a survey for that. But I learned when I was doing this PCT survey, the way that the Likert turns out on someone's phone, people would be a little confused about the options. And so they might put their ranking that they, put it as poor, but then you go down to their comments and they loved it. They had really positive comments. They wanted more of this. And so that skewed the data, that skewed the results because obviously if you're putting these really positive comments, then why would you put you had a poor experience in the in the Likert scale? So I tweaked that for the ICU survey, and let's see, I'll pull that up to show you. So I tell you that because that could be part of the issue. So you can see, and actually, while I'm on that note, I'll just show you how to get to your responses. So once the survey's been filled, you can go into your survey, click responses. You see I've got 32 responses to this survey. You can get your result. There's several different things you can do here. You can actually get your results at a glance. And so these were, I believe these were, yeah, this was all Likert. This was my Likert scale that I used. And you can see there were 25% had put that, the experience was poor. But you can actually go in and you can look at those individual responses. So you notice the Excel option, you can click that. That opens up, and you can download it as well. But you can actually follow out, those that put poor. And then you see this was one of them. It's a wonderful experience, a very good educational way to learn. So it's like, oh, well then what, and then there were fives on everything else. So on those results or on the survey, I use the rating for the other questions. Now, when I go to my responses, notice what it does for me here. It automatically gives me my average rating, the average number, the average score. And so that showed me before I did the ICU escape room that I did not need to use the Likert scale because on phones, it just does not appear very well. Um, Let me go and copy this particular one so that way we can look at, and Amanda, you're asking how
Um,
in the Likert scale you wanted to reorder these.
yeah, so it'd be like if fun, engaging, and educational needed to be moved. So one showed up before the other, we kept having to delete. And in our list, there's maybe 6 options, and we were trying to do them in, a more intuitive order once we started adding additional items. And so we just kept having to delete and move it down, move everything around.
Yeah. So when you're doing that Likert scale, you would just have to change, like maybe copy and paste your statements in the order that you want. Now, if you wanted to move individual questions around, you can do that either with these arrows or you can drag. You see the dots that are right here on this question. I can actually drag that and reorder those. But when you're in the individual Likert question, I can't, there's not an option to move those around. I would just have to,
keep typing. Got it.
yeah,
Thank you. Appreciate it.
yeah, no problem. Um, any other questions about how to create? So I'll go back to looking at your data. Um, I've created a lot of forms, so it just takes me a second. So, so I learned a couple lessons along the way, and with the ICU escape room survey, I ensured that each one of my questions, instead of doing the Likert, I wanted, and so you have to think about your audience, right? So, and I noticed like Carrie, she mentioned in the comments here that she's also found that staff are less likely to respond if only people in Care Alliance is selected because it takes more steps. So if I'm responding on my phone and I have it set up for only people in Care Alliance, then that person has to do those extra steps of logging in, the two-step verification, using their Microsoft Authenticator, all of that before they can respond to my survey. And if I have a 6 question, survey or 7 question survey, do I really want people to have to do all of that? Is it necessary for whatever I'm doing? Now, so if in doing so, changing it to anyone can respond. What I did with this survey was I printed out my QR code and I had it taped up in the room. And so as participants would finish and as they would leave, they could scan that QR code and then do their survey right then. So I changed all of these to a rating, and then I can go to responses and I can, at a glance, I can see this. I can see what my ratings were. And then I can break it out. Like if I want to kind of look at individual ones, like maybe there's one that was kind of skewed, like, okay, well, this one, like they chose 3. So I can click view results and I can actually go through each one individually and see what, what they said, and, maybe correlate that with something, I don't know, years of experience, um, any comments they might have put. So that's a really neat feature, I think. But I can also take that and put it over into an Excel document. It does that automatically. And I have all of my data right here. It lets me know, um, your, how long it took them to complete this survey, and any and all of my questions, comments, um, everything any data that I've attempted to collect from that survey, I'm going to get right there. And I mean, it's just a really great tool. But let's say that um, I want to use one for an evaluation of learning delivery. So this is why I left these responses in here from yesterday, just because I wanted to show you all how you can actually reuse the same survey over and over again, or the same form if you're using it for evaluation. So this was for the communication critical thinking class. I had 11 responses. And then all that I have to do if to reuse this for my next class, I go to my responses, I click these 3 dots right here, and then I can delete the responses. And now it's ready to go for the next class. And it's just like a brand new form again. Now, if you want to do that, but you want to save your data, which, I did save my data, then you would just save your Excel spreadsheet. You can save that, then clear your responses, and then you're ready to go. Any questions about responses, data? Any of that? Any other features that you can think of that you would like to see? And I mean, again, like I'll show you, this is one that I made last night we're having a preceptor conference in December, and I wanted to set up registration to collect some information from each participant, and then also to get their lunch choice because they're going to get lunch. So I was able to do multiple types of questions for this registration, and then all of my data will then be saved here in my responses, and I can download all that into my spreadsheet, and it's a super easy way to collect that data. So any other questions that you can think of? You can also drop any questions in the chat. Anything else that you would like to see demonstrated? All right. If not, you are more than welcome to, oh, did somebody have a question? I think somebody came off mute.
Me, it was Kelly.
Oh, hey.
Can you show us how you did the word cloud again?
Sure.
Like
Yeah.
just like go to the form and show us how you, I get the question, but how did you see the cloud come up?
So whenever, and I'll go to the one that we did for our demo. So to create a word cloud, you would just add text. And you really don't have to do anything here unless you just want to click required. Now, I'm going to delete that one because I don't like that question. Okay. So I then can click, if I'm online, I can click present. And so these were the responses that people input for the word cloud.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Yeah, I can make it bigger or pull my QR code back up. So, and you can also embed that into a PowerPoint presentation. And the way that you do that is, so let's say I've got a new slide. I go up to insert, click insert, and see there's the forms icon. I click forms, and I can either choose new form or quiz or one of my existing ones. And then click insert. And now I have it directly in my presentation.
Okay. That makes sense now. Thank you.
Yes, you're welcome. So as I was saying, if anyone does have any questions, shoot me an email. I'm happy to try to help. If I don't know the answer, I'll look up the answer. I'll try to see if I can find out. This is recorded, so that way if you need